Today's Wednesday, June 14th, 2017, and you are tuned into the Elevator Radio Show. Got a short show for you today. Stay tuned. Here it comes.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds, when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway? Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It is great to be here this Wednesday morning. Yes, it is. And with conviction. There is a shorter show today, less news content on the program, which means we are all doing our part to ensure that elevators and escalators are working as safely as they possibly can. So keep up the good work. If we can keep the media away from some of the equipment they report on of ours, I think we're in better shape because 9 times out of 10, it's inaccurately shared upon and all that good stuff. So anyway, yeah, it's just a busy day. I almost didn't do the show. Lovely Microsoft has done their updates, and my computer is actually in the process of updating, which is never exactly fun to sit through. So hopefully everything records okay, and we'll be in good shape. So anyway, it is good to be here, and hopefully you all are enjoying your travel, your schedules, whatever you're doing. June is a busy month. Those of you returning from SECA last week, I hope you had a great time. Congratulations to Catherine Bothwell for her from what I hear, putting on an excellent event once again in Canada next year. I believe it will be in Calgary. If you are interested in becoming a member of SECA, please contact Catherine to do so, and she will set you up. So next year I will be at that event. Looking forward to that. What other things are going on? Next week is Elevator U at the University of Virginia. Always a great time, great people. Some awesome educational opportunities there. I will link up in the show notes the updated presentation schedule. Looking forward to seeing so many of you there that listen and support the program. So cannot wait for that. I'll be arriving Monday afternoon late and then coming back Thursday. So be a busy whirlwind of a week. And I know many of you out there travel a whole heck of a lot more than I do. So hopefully you'll be able to catch your breath after June is over, because right after the event in Virginia, we are going to the Chicago cruise will happen, and then pretty much we'll roll into the 4th of July, and hopefully many of you out there will get a chance to take a break and catch your breath and have July to kind of just recover, take a vacation, and enjoy the weekend, so that's hopefully what happens. Anyway, we'll get into the content that I found online. Again, not so much of it, which I think is great, although a couple of articles worthy of sharing next, and we should have you out of here in no time. So news content of this week's interweb will be shared next.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
All right, the first news article of this week's program is probably worthy of a show all amongst itself. Savino, who's a representative in the state of New York, states time is now for legislation to prevent senseless elevator tragedies, and it's absolutely true. Apparently, the commentary is by State Senator Diane Savino, who is a representative of the Democrat of North Shore, Brooklyn. 5 years ago this month, a man working at a New York container terminal at Mariners Harbor fell to his death in a tragic accident. Ken Danzinger was an elevator contractor who died falling down an elevator shaft on a ship where he was working. His death could have been prevented, but perhaps most tragically, this type of accident has become far too common. There have been 9 similar deaths in New York over the past year and a half. The time has come to finally take action, which is why I'm working in Albany to pass legislation that would help prevent avoidable elevator accidents. Now, this goes back to what we've been talking about and covering for many, many months and many years. This is the Elevator Safety Act, which would transform elevator safety in New York State by setting minimum education and training standards for elevator mechanics. The legislation would also create an elevator contractor's license and an elevator safety and standards board. I think is a great step in the right direction. So it's long overdue. Licensing for elevator contractors is standard in more than 30 states, even though 10% of the nation's elevators are located in New York. We are one of the few states that don't require minimum education and training to earn a license to service elevators. But yet you probably need a license to prepare a hot dog in a hot dog vendor cart on the streets of New York City. So, and that's the reality with this. I'm not sure how it's gone so long without having some type of legislation. And there's lots of great educational opportunities out there through NEEP, through the NAC, through CET, CAT programs, stuff like that. So I don't quite understand why there's a delay in this and why it's taken so long. And I'm sure many of you do know why, but it just seems like it makes common sense. And when you have some of the issues that they've had in New York, it just doesn't make it doesn't make sense. Anyway, so link is in the show notes. Pass this on to whoever you like, and let's hope that New York can make some progress on passing a bill that does make the requirement for licensing elevator mechanics a reality. I don't think it would be that difficult to do, and to ensure that elevator equipment is worked on by trained and professional individuals. So anyway, share that news article if you like, and let's hope that steps are taken to to keep mechanics educated and whatnot. So that's important. Okay, next news article I thought was pretty cool. 3dprint.com has an article, kind of like a press release, although it doesn't talk about specifically one elevator company, which is kind of neat. But apparently 3D printing is being used in the elevator industry, and I have to admit that we do use it at C.J. Anderson, which I love. I think it's so cool to be able to create prototypes, develop products, to create products that are obsolete, that could not be made otherwise, than to digitally render it and then print it. It does have its downsides, unfortunately. It's not the perfect solution, but there are available tax credits to companies that use new or improved products, or they use it to improve products, processes, and software. And I don't know how much that would necessarily be, but it's still kind of cool. Article goes into some of the other the elevator companies out there and how they're using 3D printers. I know Jay Leno had an article about some huge one he's got that he uses to print obsolete parts for his cars. Again, it's not the ideal situation, but it's a great. It provides companies a pretty significant step up when they're trying to develop products that would not be that don't need tooling and whatnot. So Kone's in there, ThyssenKrupp, Sadamas Elevators, and Otis are all talked about in there, and how they're using 3D printing to in their companies. So, and I don't think they're doing it necessarily for tax credits, simply for the fact that they need to, they are using it to better their products and come up with designs that are not going to cost an arm and a leg to develop. So I thought it's pretty cool. Not that anybody out there would necessarily use a tax credit for 3D printing, but maybe that's the incentive you need. 3D printers have dropped in price. The metal ones are very, very expensive, unfortunately. And obviously, whether or not that would pay for itself long term is a whole nother story. But it's cool. It's cool technology. It really is. And it's been a lot of fun to use new technology for for products and processes that it would take a lot longer to come up with and be very expensive. So anyway, okay, it is not too late to sign up for the Chicago Cruise. Just know that the deadline for the early registration fee is passed. But please, if you're planning on attending, it's always one of those events where I cringe, because there was a a cruise that we were on that it rained and the river rose and we couldn't get out of the river. And so, but here, this should not be a problem because we're inside and we are actually docked at Navy Pier rather than inside the river. So I think that's great. Hopefully, I'll see many of you at that event. Always a good time and looking forward to that. Okay, apparently a Florida woman was accused or is accused of allegedly stealing thousands from an elevator company. Company was Action Elevator in, I'm assuming this is in Florida, but apparently Buckenmeyer allegedly used a stolen company fuel card to steal about $4,000 in gas. She also wrote extra paychecks to herself in the amount of $18,492.41. Yikes. You can't, as a business owner, you cannot allow, shame on you. I mean, as a business owner, you can't let this kind of thing happen. Honestly, I've seen it happen before, and you've got to be on top and be aware of checks that are going out. You need to reconcile your statements at the end of the month, make sure everything is up to speed, stuff like that. You cannot let something like this happen. Unfortunately, the money is going to be gone. The woman's going to go to jail or get some kind of probably, if she's found guilty, go to jail, and then it's not going to do anybody any good. So yeah, as a business owner, make sure you're watching the checks you're signing. If it's automatically being deposited or whatever, make sure you're reconciling your bank statements to ensure that things like this do not happen. Crazy. I don't know anybody who could do this that could think that they could get away with it 100%. Next news article, Fox 9, reaching out new heights in the new elevator business. Minority CEO honored for entrepreneurial success. Let me shut this down so I don't see a cat jumping through the screen. This is pretty cool. So I didn't know that Jashan Eason, who went from an employee to a successful CEO for H&B elevator cabs. I don't know when that actually happened, but I think it's pretty cool. So it's nice to see that they are doing well and the company is continuing. And I like what they said here in terms of where their products touch. So I think that's pretty cool. Congratulations to Eason for being named Entrepreneur of the Year. So congratulations on that, and nice to see a company in our industry getting that kind of credit. So nicely done. Okay, next news article. This is kind of a scary one. Electrical fire and traps employee in an elevator. Apparently I want to say this is in Missouri. Let's see here. Oh, man. Electrical fire at BBVA Compass enforces employees outside and traps an employee in an elevator. And this is very, very critical, obviously. Everyone inside the downtown building was forced outside as firefighters looked for what was burning on the inside. Apparently... one man did not make it out until the fire was out. The man who wanted to step away for lunch became entrapped in an elevator, stuck in an elevator as firefighters rushed in to put out the fire. Hundreds of employees except Joe Stanford made it out, but he was never afraid. Scary. So, you wonder what happened, whether or not it was like a shunt trip device tripping or why the elevator stopped or what exactly happened. Who knows? It could have been a generator issue or a fault on a drive or something. They don't talk about, let's see here. They don't really talk about what the cause of the fire was or what the fire was. Oh, yeah, okay. Crews power. Oh, I see what you're saying. The captain says crews turning off power to locate the fire made the elevator stop. Okay, there you go. All right. It helped to read the entire story, right? So, yeah, kind of scary. So as a firefighter, you think that, clearing the building to find the fire would be your priority, and making sure elevators are functioning correctly or they're all down at the first floor would be a huge step in ensuring people are not, entrapped in an elevator. So perhaps maybe the firefighters can take steps to, ensure elevators are at the bottom floor before shutting power to the building, because this could have ended very badly depending on where the fire was and where the person in the elevator was and where smoke goes. So kind of scary. So hopefully we can learn from that one. Okay, escalator incidents reported on in Minnesota. Another Fox 9 channel news report. Investigators, danger on the escalator's edge. Now this is one of those articles, good example of basically scaring the general riding public, which I am, I'm in favor of. If it's going to prevent, shoes getting stuck on the side of of an escalator. And when you look at this photo that's in the actual news post, maybe the yellow lines on the outside are not enough. And I know people would say, well, you can't do more. You can't put more signage there because it's considered a distraction. But maybe you need a whole bunch of like black and white lines and similar to what you might see around a machine at a factory to ensure you would not go in that space. But yeah, I really don't know how to, how to get the word out. But what's even more concerning is that they cite the Consumer Product Safety Commission on their advice on how to ride an escalator. Come on, there's an Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation which provides the same kind of advice. But why not cite that? Why not cite that? There's so much. So much in there. How hard is it to do a Google search and find that there's a kids program that parents can have their kids watch and parents can watch and play with themselves, and then realize that at the end of the day their families and their kids are educated. But no, they have this whole list of important steps on how to ride an escalator properly and correctly, but nothing more than that. So I just, you wonder why, media outlets, when they do these kind of pieces, they don't go above and beyond. It's really unfortunate. And one of the notes that is made in this article is that obviously, like 95% of the injuries or accidents occur due to rider behavior. So how do we change that? We try to make them understand what they should or should not be doing. And in the world of texting and Facebooking and looking for Pokemon Go things, there's a lot of distractions out there that make it increasingly difficult to get that word out. So it's one of the vices, one of the issues that the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation fights and is trying to promote and get through. But if it's anything like texting and driving and calling and driving, then we have a long road to go, because anywhere you drive today, you will see people texting, you will see people calling, you will see people doing all of that crap. It's just you cannot stop it, unfortunately. It's just ridiculous. We're all guilty of doing it to some level or some degree. And it doesn't make it right if you're at a stop sign. It doesn't make it right if you're still distracted, no matter what. I hope excuse me, I just hope that's not happening in the workplace, but I'm certain it is. I don't want to believe it is, but I'm certain it is. Okay, in Hong Kong, I should say, employees of contractor have licenses suspended over Langham Place escalator incident. When is the last time, and this is obviously in another country or area or whatever they're considered, British, no, I don't think they're under British rule anymore. Anyway, when's the last time you heard of a mechanic or a elevator company losing their license due to some type of major issue? Does that even happen in the States? I wonder. And I don't, if they were convicted or proved to be guilty of whatever act that they had done. Does that ever happen? I wonder. And the last news article is actually a press release talking about Kone's jump lift. And this is, actually, I can't read it. But you can check it out. Toronto Tower benefits from Kone jump lift. We did talk about this on last week's program, but for those of you out there that are not sure what this is, it's a pretty cool, ingenious device where on new building projects, instead of building, elevators on the outside of the building or doing temporary elevators, construction lifts to get, to build upwards in buildings, the jump lift from Kone is actually a working elevator that kind of gets built as the elevator goes up, and it's by the end of the project or the building has reached its height, you have a working elevator that just needs to be made to look pretty, I guess, to some extent. So it's a pretty ingenious product, and one that is being used in other countries. I'm not sure if any are in the United States at this time, but I think they are working on that. But it just makes sense, especially when you're talking about, construction lifts on the outside of buildings, taking up space, perhaps not being as safe as an internal type elevator. But then you're not, it just seemed pretty cool. So, link is in the show notes for that. I'm sure you can go to their website and find out more on that as well. So I promised it would be a short show, which it is, and that's all we have to talk about today. I want to make sure that you are reminded to be safe out there. Make sure you're going home each and every day to your family. Have a great weekend. Stay cool as you can, and work safe. I'm looking forward to the trip next week to the University of Virginia. Eddie Morris, who's the host of that this year's Elevator U conference. I cannot wait. Thank you for hosting it. It's going to be a great conference, and I can't wait to see so many of you out there that support the program and also are long-term listeners. So without further ado, have a great rest of the week out there. Everybody be safe, and we will talk to you maybe next Wednesday, if not the week after. So take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.